Alright, we're going to talk about this scope on this rifle here. You know, you get to buy what you want. I have never been given anything associated with an air gun or firearm or a scope or ammunition. I'm just a purchaser who shares information, okay? This is an Element Nexus 5x20x50 first focal plane scope sitting on an M4 air rifle. Now, I got that same scope sitting on top of a 17 Mach 2 rifle too, okay? And I'm going to share some information with you later in this video some people might find beneficial. Alright? So this scope don't cost $2,000. It don't cost $300. It don't cost $1,500 anymore, okay? Now, I like the reticle in this scope. I'm going to turn this trigger cam on here in just a minute. I've put up a lot of videos showing this scope shooting squirrels since August of last year up until March the 15th of this year. Okay, camera back on. So I like the reticle in this scope. This is a first focal plane scope, toolless elevation and windage adjustment, which is big on an air gun if you ask me, more so than a firearm, but still helpful. Okay, the scope seems to track nice. I've seen some other people do tests. They seem to do fairly good. Now you're going to hear some talk out there, and here's where you have to draw a distinction, okay? I have shot targets, and I have shot a lot of squirrels, boys, okay? The finest of aiming points is probably not what you're after in a squirrel hunting rig, or actually anything in the woods that moves around, okay? Now the question is can your reticle subtension be too coarse? Well, yeah, it probably can, especially on longer shots, okay? Now this scope has a cross in the reticle, and they make different reticles for this model. The model I care the most about is the one I'm going to turn this trigger cam on right here, okay? It's got the clean reticle. It's called a EHR 1C reticle with variable illumination levels, okay? This does have a fast focus eyepiece in the back, and it does have parallax adjustment down to 10 yards. Alright, this can be used on center fire, rim fire, and air rifles. Now, weight wise, this scope for first focal plane would be on the lighter side, but not as light as the Arkin EPL4, but this scope is longer. This scope from a parallax adjustable perspective is not as touchy as an Arkin, okay? And I like the reticle better in this scope. And I've had people ask me on my YouTube channel in the comments section. Alright. So to see how tight a rimfire rifle would shoot at 100 yards, is this the scope to have on a rifle to see? Probably not. The reticle would probably be considered too coarse. Now the scope only goes to 20 power. But for in the squirrel woods, one of these scopes that would show you better how tight a 22 rifle is shooting at 100 yards probably wouldn't be the right choice for the squirrel woods. So this reticle here, what I'm saying is, you can operate this scope in the squirrel woods at 6 power and see the reticle. You can't do that with all first focal plane scopes, not the ones I've picked up, even some of the Vortexes. Alright, so I'm going to turn this handheld camera off. We're going to look at 103 yards. It's overcast out here. We're going to look at 103 yards, and we're going to look at 60 yards. I'll vary the light settings and vary the parallax, vary the power just a little bit. And I'm going to turn this handheld camera back up and share something with you might find helpful. Okay, it's raining out here. 12 power, no illumination, 109
yards on that post right yonder. You see that? Remember, it's overcast, light level 8, light level 7. It goes all the way up to 9. Okay, that's 12 power. There's 15. All right. I'm going to leave it run. Maybe I won't get soaked here. Okay, we're going to turn the parallax down. This is 59 yards. Okay. At 15 power. Alright, you see them lines on that target? There's 12. There's 10. There's 8. Alright. Right there, 6. I'll turn the light level up a little bit. 6 power. 59 yards. Alright. I usually run this scope with leaves on in the squirrel woods at about 6.5 or 7. Okay. I'm going to turn the trigger cam off. Alright, handheld camera back on. I got in the truck since it's raining on me. Alright, now I'm going to put this out there. I'm not going to say what price. You might get one of these for. But there's a place in Wilmington, North Carolina called Cape Fear Air Guns. Now, remember, this is a first generation. They made a second generation. It costs more. The second generation doesn't offer the reticle the first generation offers that you've seen in this video through the trigger cam. Cape Fear Air Guns. This used to be the primary repair center for FX air guns in the United States, but it is no longer. But they still do repairs. They have, at least I got one of them, but I've not got it delivered yet. I got one of these scopes on what they call consignments. And evidently they had some inventory when they disbanded out there. And you might pick one of these scopes up for a lot less than what you would normally pay for one, okay, if you're interested in one. Again, I won't say the price. All right, Cape Fear Air Guns. You can do a Google search on it. If you're interested in one of these scopes, you might pick one up, and it might surprise you at what you can get it for if he has any more left. I don't know. All right, the one that I'm getting was in the plastic bag. It was in the box, unused. All right, so I got a third one. I've got 4 of these scopes, but the third one that I got doesn't have this reticle, and I don't like it. Not for the woods, and not for the fields, and not for when there's, you know, a target being stationary. You know where it is. So you don't have all of the sticks and obstacles in the background in it like you do in the squirrel woods, okay, or an old coyote in the woods, or a groundhog. This reticle center, if you'll notice that cross, it's fairly open, okay. Now that's an MOA reticle. They did make these in MRAD as well, so you might get one in that, okay. All of mine are in MOA. I don't do any extreme long distance shooting, okay. But squirrels and, you know, groundhogs out to 150, 200, yeah. Squirrels out to maybe 150, yeah. And I like that scope for both leaves on and leaves off, okay. There may be a better scope out there for just leaves on application, but that's not what I want. I want a scope I can be familiar with. It looks the same, meaning, yeah, I may adjust the power on it. But the reticle setup, the controls on the scope, I stay very familiar with them. And speed matters when you're out hunting, okay? A lot of times. That's going to conclude the video.